The War on the Dark Continent.
I remember that, Jeffries.
Oh, another round for the table of brands.
Bring me the brandy Beauregard.
Oh, hello. Welcome to Heathen Book Review, featuring Chris.
The fuck?
And Riggs. Are we still fucking doing this? Providers of quality reviews and meaningful conversation. Sit with us for a spell as your host. Oh God, is anybody alive? Help me, somebody! Oh God, the children! What about the children?
Well, this is a fucking shit show already. Join us today on the Heathen Book Review as we write runes to our fetch and discover the mysteries of the afterlife.
No. Hello, everyone. This is Josh
And Chris.
coming at you for Heathen Book Review.
Preferably not coming
episode
on
2.
you. Ho!
This is episode 2. Bear with us.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, so like I said, I'm Chris. We're going to be reviewing some books. Looking forward to it. But we're going to introduce ourselves first. So I guess I'll take the lead, like I always do, because I am the pitcher.
The fuck?
Just kidding.
Like hell you are.
Just kidding.
We all know who's the man in this relationship.
Wait a minute. I pulled that.
All right, bio. Let's do
Anyway.
this.
So why should you listen to what I have to say? I don't give a shit. I've been Heathen for about 10 years. Up until recently, though, I was introduced to the Reconstruction methodology by old Josh here. So it's been a little under a year, almost a year so far, so we'll just call it as it is. I started doing some pretty stupid shit, believing that the gods were talking to me for some who knows whatever reason.
Chris, don't do it in the sock.
The crusty sock. But, you know, like everyone says, everyone's got to start somewhere. I started somewhere. Some people start off better places than others. I wish I had. Honestly, I wish I had found Recon back then. I kind of knew about it, but I thought you guys were all pricks.
They are. We are. They are.
But I know why. I also...
Before you got... So what did you do before you joined the Recon side of things?
Before I fell into the fold, I was dumb, young and dumb. Literally just last year, so I was 29. I joined the AFA for about a month.
How'd that go?
It lasted for about a month, which was really just me saying, "Yeah, I got an AFA card now on in a pin, like a shirt, like a lapel pin."
Dues well spent.
Yeah, it was fucking stupid. You know, I thought I was gonna do something great myself, but join the AFA, and then I found out how much of a bunch of raging racists they are, and I decided to cut ties completely. And the folk builders kept like trying to get me to join the fold again. I was like, nope, not doing it.
Stop.
So, fuck them.
The fuck? This is terrible bio.
Okay, we can restart.
No, I'm not saying we restarted. I'm just saying this is terrible.
Okay, we gotta make it lively somehow. I can't just be reading off a script. As of late, I've been more interested in the Anglo-Saxon side of things. I did a DNA test not too long ago, and I kind of found where most of my family came from was from England, Ireland, Scotland. So I kind of fell more interested into that. Some of the other heathen interests that I have, areas of research rather, are sacral kingship, sacred spaces, and more recently semiotics and ritual theory and practice, which is pretty cool. Some other non-heathen shit. I'm happily married. I've been in the military for about 10 years, and I work full-time for the National Guard in Ohio. And I do computer shit for them. I sit in the basement, and I wait until I get off work. Just kidding.
Unless the general comes and is like, hey, this isn't working.
Yeah, and I'm staying late. Fuck that. I'm a huge fan of music. I've been a musician since I was about 10. That's when I started taking lessons for drums. I've been doing drums ever since. And this year I finally got into gardening. And actually next week I will be planting my first thing of crops. So I'm looking forward to that.
Crops.
Crop circles.
What about mint? You planting mint?
Actually, yes. My wife is going up to her parents' house this weekend, and we're going to have a couple mint plants when she comes back. Because we ordered. Subliminal messages, folks. What do you got? What do you got, Josh?
Hello, first of all you lovely people out there. My name is Josh Riggs, though most do just call me Riggs.
Yeah, or old Dick Tip. I call him Dick Tip.
You wouldn't be the first.
I wouldn't advise you to do that, though. You might get punched.
There's a good chance. I've been doing some form of heathenry. There's some air quotes around that for about 10 years. So since I was about 16, when I started, I didn't really have a clue. I went and bought a hammer off eBay and half of the metaphysical section at Borders.
I've done it.
I thought that was what heathenry was. Even when I was more ignorant and naive, I did read as much as I possibly could on the subject. But I really didn't learn a lot more than misinformation. There's a lot of bad info out there.
Yes.
I floated around it for a couple years, getting more Viking and Brosa along the way. But didn't really change much until I stumbled upon, I believe it was actually Raven Radio and Austrian Lore.
Yes.
I never really posted much, but I'll be damned if I didn't read every single bit of information on that page as I could. Mm-hmm. Good group of nice people. Nice people.
It depends. If you walk in there with your dick hanging out, thinking you're king shit of the shit pile, they will put you in your place very quickly.
Yeah. Good information there. I think they're mostly on their Facebook page now.
Yeah.
But
look them up. True Lore on Facebook.
Yep. But from that, I started adopting Reconstruction methodology about 3 or so years ago. Since then, I've read everything I can lay my fucking hands on. I know at the time when I started adopting Reconstruction, I was actually at my end. I just couldn't deal with it anymore. Mm-hmm. I just saw a cycle of validated woo and self-promotion of pseudo-wisdom in the pagan and heathen communities, and it was nothing.
Terrible.
There was no growth, no building. Everything was very fluid and intangible. Just no structure.
It's like the bowel movement I had yesterday. Very, very fluid and very intangible.
That's fucking terrible. So when I came upon the promised land that is sources and evidence, I dove in head first. I finally found something that was real and promoted a good, strong foundation. I could empirically evaluate the evidence, and it was encouraged to learn so that you could build your own conclusions. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean I was very good at it at first, or I'm sure some would even say now. I was still very wrong on a lot of things, and I did have some issues letting go of concepts and adopting some. These are things you constantly have to kind of reevaluate.
Yes.
I mean, every day I'm reading something, and I'll be like, where does this stand? So, I am currently 27. I just turned like a week and a half ago.
Back in my day.
Back in my day. I'm still the fucking youngest. I have an amazing wife who deals with a lot of my bullshit and fuckery. Mm-hmm. She is pretty awesome. Her name is Danielle. Love you, Danielle. I train strongmen. Chris here is one of my training partners. I enjoy alcohol quite a bit. Ironic because I'm not drinking right now. Everything from classic cocktails to good whiskey. There's a chance you've probably seen me in an online group in the past. I have left pretty much every heathen group because there was way too much drama and just not enough learning. But you still may see me around a bit. There are still a couple groups that are good. You know, there are people who you learn from. Mm-hmm. And if I hadn't been in a lot of those groups, I wouldn't be able to meet those people. I do have a small speech impediment. So if that pops up, ignore it.
Or I'll just make fun of him.
He probably fucking will. I can barely speak modern English correctly, so my pronunciation on anything else should be expected to be fucked. Other than that, I'm a cold-hearted bastard. Mm-hmm. Cruel. Mean.
That's why they call you Old Dick Tip.
Old Dick Tip. Or the bear trainer.
Or the dick trainer. Watch that dick rise.
So, I really don't care about a lot of things, and I've been told I'm emotionally withdrawn. So, I just...
Hopefully by professionals.
I do just want good information out there, which kind of leads into the point of what this podcast actually is about.
Yeah.
First of all, this is not a teaching podcast. Do not expect education. We are two sometimes drunk guys sitting in a basement on a Wednesday afternoon. Don't expect grand wisdom. No. Primarily, the point of this is to review the material that is found on the more scholarly side of things. Mm-hmm. It will focus mainly on the Germanic worldview, though pie will come up.
Yes.
Not cherry, but Proto-Indo-European. My favorite kind.
Which we'll probably end up covering one of those books eventually.
Oh, yeah. The first one will probably be Ancient City or something. I know when I first jumped on the Reconstructionist train, I couldn't find much of quality info. It's out there. There's plenty of good information out there. It's just more of, I couldn't find it. Everyone would suggest books that didn't have much in the way of evidence, facts, or any other pesky things, such as quality. Llewellyn, while it should be work to research and it shouldn't be easy, putting the tools for the person gets them on the right track quickly. So knowing this, we will be reviewing books and books that will help form a worldview to pull from, at least in the beginning. If we get a few under our belt, we will try to work with less available material to demonstrate the material that is out there and give a fair review of it. We will also work with less desirable material.
Yeah.
And give a fair review of it. You know, we're going to try to be less biased on those. This episode, we are reviewing H.R. Ellis Davidson's Road to Hell. This is a suggestion that always pops up when people ask about life and death. I know I always suggest it. Commonly one of the earlier reads for many who decide to follow a Reconstruction approach. But yeah, we'll be giving our impression of the book, what we liked, what we didn't. We will rate the book according to its coherence, knowledge, importance to reading. Now, when we review the material, we will work to be impartial. That will be fairly serious, clean-cut, and unbiased as possible. However, Chris...
yeah, we also will be talking about bullshit, stupid jokes, fun stuff. We won't be all drudgery and fucking
drudgery
most of the time. So you'll probably notice the flow to our podcasts after we get a couple out there. This is episode 2 because episode 1
part 2
part 2. Episode 1 was a shit show.
It was fucking terrible.
Which was recorded in one long session, and it was a nightmare to edit. So we will probably eventually put that out there. There's a lot of a lot of... Well, the thing is, and the fact of the matter is...
I should mention, that's how I talk.
Yes.
I will guaranteedly say, the thing is this. Now, here's the thing.
I couldn't tell you how much I took out. I took a 2-hour
we went from 2 hours to, 40 minutes?
To 45 to 50 minutes. That was a lot of fucking shit I cut out.
Oh. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll release it.
We'll release it like a lost episode for fun. Ooh. Fully raw, so you'll get every piece of bullshit that we had in there, like the 20, 30-minute long break we were trying to find citations for the last book we did. So
I had my citations.
You son of a bitch. Fuck off. So yeah, it was pretty bad. So we just jumped ahead. We're gonna do this episode 2, and we're gonna go from there.
Yep. So imagine this is episode 1, but it really is episode 2.
Yeah. Episode 1 does not exist. This is not the episode you're looking for.
Actually, this one is.
Yes. I take that back. Strike that. Reverse it.
Missy Elliott.
Get the fuck out of here. So, like Rick said, we will be drinking on occasion. And today, I'm having a New Amsterdam gin and tonic. And old Dick Tip over here is drinking water.
I am drinking water. There's a reason for that, though. I'm fatter than I need to be. I want to lift heavier. And I have a hurt back, so I have to watch my calories. And, alcohol is basically pure calories. I gotta watch my macros, bro.
It also does cause problems with recovery, so...
Oh, fuck yeah, it does. I drank so much last week. My arms still hurt.
I was pretty hungover the last time you were here.
I'm not surprised.
That was pretty bad. So
I make people drink.
Yeah,
drive
me to drinking. This is why I drink. This fuckstick over here.
Danielle will be an alcoholic continues.
She might be one already. Who knows?
There's been days.
Especially with you.
Oh, fucking asshole.
But it's good. It's all good.
All right.
So,
since we're talking about Reconstruction methodology, the fuck is it?
Well, that is a good question, Josh. Or Riggs. Or old Dick Tip, if you will.
Most people just call me Riggs. Just expect Riggs.
I'll just expect Riggs. All right, so Reconstruction is a methodology used to reconstruct the lives, beliefs, and practices of ancient peoples, i.e., your ancestors.
Possibly
your ancestors. Not everybody, but ancient peoples. It is a secular movement, so it is not a religion unto itself.
Not a fucking religion.
So when people say, "Oh, you must be a recon heathen," no, I I'm a heathen.
Well, yeah,
but I use a reconstruction methodology to figure it out. It's like using the scientific method. It's a toolbox.
it's empirical.
It's very empirical. Peer-reviewed and empirical, and if something is changed based off the evidence, you change with it.
Yep.
Happy Kwanzaa. So, like I said, it's like a toolbox that
Full tools.
Oh, that a heathen can use objectively to look at the body of evidence and figure out the why and the how of our ancestors. With that knowledge, they can reconstruct the Germanic worldview and apply it to our modern day lives. You are going to look at the evidence, gather the bones, and then flesh it out to a more modern, usable concept.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's basically what it is. I mean, it's a methodology.
Yes.
All right. You mentioned worldview. We probably should talk about worldview a bit.
Yes, worldview.
So let's
What is the worldview, Riggs?
Well, I mean, the worldview is what they were. Is how they thought, how they did whatever. Why they did whatever.
How they viewed the world? Oh. That's a concept.
Mind blown. So let's talk about building it and why it was. So we as modern Americans, assumingly you're American, other societies have similar issues, but we are America, and we want to make sure this is known for Americans. But it can be fucking with that. But it can be applied to a lot of people. But we as modern Americans do have an inherent bias that we were raised with. Our culture is extremely Christianized. It is monotheistic. It is built into our society as an overculture. It doesn't matter if you were raised Christian or not. If you were raised in the United States, there is a strong culture that permeates that permeates non-insular groups, and even insular groups. Orthodox Jews and Hebrews do have an issue where the overculture is slowly draining them of generational additions. So if you can't accept the term Christian baggage, because that's what it is, it's called Christian baggage. If you can't accept the term Christian baggage, if that pill is too hard for you to swallow,
It's a jagged little pill.
I don't want to. First, then why are you listening to us? Because we're going to tell you that you need to be able to change your beliefs on the fly, or at least be able to evaluate them. But then call it American bias, because that's really what it is. It's very American culture. It's American culture just as much as Christian culture. It's there and you have it. It is something we will never be able to get rid of. Since we're largely first generation at this point.
Yeah.
We may have some second generation, but even the first generation teaching the second generation
will have some kind of baggage.
Yeah. Well, 20 years ago, they didn't have a ton of information widely dispersed. But even within a more built worldview, our children will have it. Their children will have it to a degree. The only thing to do is to keep working at it, and eventually you'll get it. This is a generational concept.
It won't happen overnight.
Yeah, no, not overnight. Okay, so we have it. All right, worldview is there. Why is it an issue? Well, let's go with a non-Christian one first. Why is a worldview important? Hammerite. Everybody knows the Hammerite. North, south, east, west, banging on the ground. Basically, it's a ritual, lesser ritual of banishing from Wicca. If that's wrong, if it's a greater ritual banishing, that's fine. I'm not a Wicca expert. Someone can yell at me for that. But how does this idea translate into heathenry? Well, it doesn't, because sacred spaces aren't just made on the fly. They are built through use of consistent ritual and gifting practices with the sacred, with the divine. Sacred space is a place where the divine meets man, and you meet and you gift. You can't just, hey, north, south, east, west, come visit us. Yeah, it's not a portal.
They probably give a shit.
No. So does this mean Wicca's bad?
No.
No.
I would say no.
No, it's not. It's not bad. It's just not heathen.
Yeah.
I mean, into itself, Wicca is extremely Christianized. If you want to do that, that's your business. We don't really fucking care. However, if you want to follow within a Germanic concept, then what point does it serve? Nothing. It doesn't do anything. What about the 9 noble virtues?
Definitely not heathen.
One more. One more is all I have to say.
I-9, really fucking hard.
So nine hard man. So the issue of nine noble virtues is they don't really have a sense within the Germanic tribal concept. For instance, how can one be loyal to your community if you're required to bear witness or be untruthful? That system is contradictory and is an objective ethical system, not a relative. It's not a relative morality. You have to build a concept that revolves around the tribe that constantly shifts. So,
wouldn't that be considered as the Anglo-Saxon term for feud?
Yes.
So I digress.
So on the flip side of this baggage issue is it can also hinder you when you don't want to do something that you think is Christian and you just won't do it because it's Christian. It's what the Christians do. An example would be bowing. This is actually kind of funny because this is a twofold issue. Mm-hmm. You're taking the concept of Buddy Jesus and you're making it BFF Odin. But I mean, at least Christians show Jesus respect. Catholics, ironic, they bow in front of the altar. They bow before they enter. Mm-hmm. They still show it respect. They don't even whenever they're very much like, oh Jesus, man. They're very much like, the Lord, the Father, the Son.
Those guys. They
still show him respect. Within heathenry, that's just not happening. All you hear is that we don't bow to our gods. That's one way to show respect. Not only is this idea that we don't bow easily disproven, it makes no fucking sense. You have these beings held in great power and respect that historically, these things were feared. Like, fucking feared. You didn't walk into this space like a dick bag because then you're fucked.
Yeah. There was a sacral component to hold you accountable for that.
So, but they bowed to kings, but they won't,
or chieftains,
and there's examples of bowing within sagas, and there was what's the fucking saga? Guy would not bow to the idols, banished, came back and killed the guy who led the banishment while he was kneeling. So,
and it was further outlawed.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Or might have just been.
They might have just beaten him with some rocks.
Fuck you.
Bowing. I mean, bowing is super important, and it definitely has a place. I don't want to hear one more fucking proud Viking tell me how they don't bow to their gods, because I might fucking lose it.
I'm gonna lose it eventually.
I'm gonna make me lose my head up in here, here.
You're not a Viking. You're not a shield maiden. You're not going to Brawlhalla.
Brawlhalla. Witness me.
You are witness.
Alright, back on. Baggage. So this affects how we perceive Germanic concepts. You can't really learn a culture until you understand the culture. Mm-hmm. Or you can't emulate the culture until you understand the culture. That's probably better. Because all you're doing is the motions. And the motions matter, but you're not understanding how the motions matter. So you can't tailor them as you need to for your culture. We aren't carbon copying things, not necessarily. We're taking the bone. I think you mentioned earlier. We're taking bones, and we're building a flesh suit.
Yes,
a delicious flesh suit.
Puts the lotion on its skin.
It puts the. I'd fuck me.
oh, fuck! I'd fuck me.
I got it in the back. Oh, would you mind helping me with this couch?
What's your deal, freckle?
So, I mean, we're not building a clone culture. We're building our own culture within the same context, which you can gather by reading and learning and understanding, which is super important.
We're not reenacting the past.
No, I mean, learning the worldview gives you a stone to stand on. It teaches you rules, because there are rules.
Yes, there are rules.
That doesn't mean that you can't break these rules and do what the fuck you want. I'm just saying that at that point you're eclectic, and that's the fact. If you stray outside those general hard concepts, then you're not heathening. It's just the way it is.
There are certain things within the worldview that if a person is not doing, you can easily consider them not heathen.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. That is what it is. I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's just it's not heathenry. Yeah, it's not heathenry.
And we can call you out on it.
Yeah, or I mean, I'll just probably just be like, all right, whatever. That's not right.
That too.
But whatever, I don't give a fuck.
Until you start putting that on Facebook and on the interwebs and claiming that it is heathen, and then we will call you out on
Oh god, I hate Facebook so much.
We will destroy you.
I think that's good. I think we have some words from our sponsors coming up.
Yeah, those fucking guys. Yeah, so we'll be back. We got a couple words from our sponsors, and we will be back with the Heathen Book Review.
I love what Sherry did for the funeral. It's so sad what happened to Jim. I know. What are the odds of being hit by a bus on Lake Erie? Freak accident, I suppose. Good thing she had Valhalla insurance from the Hartford. Valhalla insurance? What's that? So now the only way to get into Valhalla is to die in battle? Well, that's where Valhalla insurance comes in. The mundane death. Like getting hit by a cement mixer in the middle of a field. Or falling off a bridge after a heavy gust. Or dying from AIDS. This will ensure your entrance into heaven. I mean Valhalla. Really? How easy is it to get? Not hard at all. I called it without even a pre-screen. I was insured that day. Anybody at any age can get it, and for the low price of $5.99. That's cheaper than a Brian Wilton book. Exactly. Even a bum on the street could afford it.
Well, that really puts my mind at ease. I know that when I die, the Valkyries are going to whisk me away to the Golden Hall. I should call tomorrow.
Definitely. But first, let's go see if those strippers are here.
Got my one.
Do you want to put your afterlife at risk? Now you don't have to. With the new Valhalla insurance from the Hartford, you can put your mind at ease. You won't have to worry when your corpse is set ablaze on a ship and sent out to pasture. You'll already be in the Golden Hall, feasting next to the Allfather himself. So don't gamble on where you're going to spend eternity. Insure it with the new Valhalla insurance from the Hartford.
Does that actually charge us to Valhalla? That's fucking dumb. Or just a package.
Tater and Slim Jim here, talking to you about new pure heathen boot oil. There are just some things that make a heathen. Long hair, cheap hammers, PBR, and most of all, boots. We know those things. They're what define heathenry, of course. So when it comes to taking care of these, you know you're looking for the best, purest tools for the job. That's why we made Pure Heathen. Boot oil. Made from 100% real snake.
Pure albino snakes.
Oh, thanks, Slim.
Ain't nothing to it.
Nobody wants their boots looking dry and cracked at their next rally. I mean, blot. So next time you are at the store, pick up a tin of Pure Heathen boot oil. They really help get them boots on the ground. You know what I mean, Slim?
Hey, I'm straight, Hall.
Pure Heathen boot oil. Tier above.
Buy some, you hear? You're listening to Heathen Book Review. Our Heathen Book Review podcast can beat up yours.
Dude, fucking Valhalla insurance.
Jesus Christ.
I don't... Where do I even start?
I know, right? This was fucking stupid.
hit by a bus on Lake fucking Erie.
I don't know how that happens. Honestly, a dump truck?
I don't think this is how this works.
No. And this fucking boot oil turd birds.
Is it me or do they sound a little fucking racist?
Was that folkish?
Oh,
very folkish.
Did he fucking? He said bloat, blot, didn't he?
Yeah, blot.
Brah. Oh god. Okay, we might need to go talk to our sales team about the sponsors.
Yeah, we're definitely talking to those fuckers after this episode.
Yeah. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get to the book review.
Yeah, let's get the good shit over with.
Blot.
Blot. No, we'll get down.
There's a kitty in our way.
Joining us is Herbert von Meowenstein, who is a rescue. He's going to jump on our laps.
He's going to rub himself all over me. And Brynhild will like this later. Brynhild being my dog.
Yeah.
She loves cats.
Loves to eat them?
She likes cats. We'll just leave it at that. She was attacked by one as a puppy.
Oh, I got you.
So let's go ahead and break into the book review. Quit fucking around a little bit. So we are reviewing H.R. Ellis Davidson's Road to Hell. Mm-hmm. First published in 1964?
Let me look.
Fairly certain 1964.
It was 1968.
I was close. Only a couple hundred pages. Pretty little book. You want to go over what's in it?
Yeah. Some of the general concepts included in this book. We covered burial customs, covered the archaeological evidence, covered literary evidence on the afterlife concepts and Germanic worldview, covered conceptions of the soul, your fetches, concepts of the dead.
That fetch thing's never going to get old.
I know. And then I think it even covered some of like ancestral belief.
I mean, it definitely covered some ancestral cult worship.
Yeah. So I think a little bit of
Definitely cult worship of the dead.
yes.
As well as necromancy. It also touched on necromancy a bit.
Yeah, it was one of the last chapters.
Yeah.
So first impressions.
Love it.
Loved it. Didn't hate it.
No, I did not hate it.
Good.
I mean, honestly, so first impression is it's a well-written book. It has aged very well. What is it at this point? 70 years old? 75 years old or something?
Ooh, no, not in 68. It's a little under 50 years old.
What, leave my math alone. I was thinking... So I was definitely thinking of 48. Because that's when she started publishing stuff.
Yeah.
But ignore me. So first impression is... it isn't too thick. It's fairly easy to find. Though I recently found out the new versions are $40, like $40 plus. I mean, you got yours for what, 20?
About 24 with shipping. I got it from biblio.com, and it's a hardback.
Yep, I got mine for the low price of $3.99. PDF, dude.
Oh, PDF.
I always support people I like. But yeah, I mean, pretty good. What about you?
It's definitely a great book. When I first cracked it open, I really was interested with the archaeological chapter. There's a lot of really good information. It really kept my interest throughout it to lead me into the literary evidence, and from then on, it's pretty much a wrap. Like it kept me engaged the whole time, and it wasn't really anything that just like kind of drudged on. So I would definitely read this again. Definitely will read this again, probably.
Oh yeah, hey, this is my third read.
Jesus.
Gets better every time. Go down smooth.
It's like a fine scotch.
Yep.
Or wine, if you like that shit.
Or, rock gut beer if that's your thing. Whatever. Since you talked about the first chapter, I do want to mention it. That was actually one of my favorite things about this book. It was a good introduction to, I think, his reconstruction method. Hilda starts off hand and never stops. She goes on about the only things we know for certain are the physical items we actually pull out of the mounds and barrows. Mm-hmm. Anything beyond that is speculation. However, this doesn't mean that we can't be educated in our theories. This only means that we can be disproven in time, and that as evidence comes to light, that we shouldn't hold on to our theories in face of discredit. This doesn't mean they are wrong necessarily, only that we should improve as we learn more. This is a thing that I wish people understood more about scholarship and Reconstruction. We need to be willing to change our concepts in the face of new info. It isn't always easy, but it is vital. Thusly, the first chapter discusses what we really can verify, evidence gathered wise, and explain why we should make theories, but also be willing to accept our theories might be wrong.
It's a very healthy practice to be able to accept new evidence and reapply it to your practice.
Oh, absolutely. A good example she actually uses is burial customs and how they deal with the deceased. Starting on page 8, we see how they shift within the tribe and communities. Earlier, we see burials and mass graves shifted to singular graves, to cremation, back to mounds. This shows the shifts that do happen culturally, even if we don't necessarily have a written literature about it, which I think is extremely important to remember. Just because we don't have it written down as a poem or an example of a story, we can find things out. And just because something is written down does not mean that it is
legitimate,
accurate.
That too.
Both.
Yeah.
So the main thing to remember is that this why do they do these things? Why did they stop large graves and shift to singular ones? What were the factors that changed to cause the deviations? This chapter's scope really doesn't go terribly in depth, but it does get you to start asking those questions. These questions are extremely important to Reconstruction. They start to form the reason behind the what. Why behind the what? Why did they change grave styles. What was the point behind it?
Yeah.
So I think that's extremely important coming from somebody who might be newer to Reconstruction methodology, is that they can be able to just be like, oh, okay, so I am supposed to have theories. There are provable things, and sometimes I have to be wrong. So
And it's okay to be wrong,
absolutely.
as long as you're willing to admit it.
That is a large portion of it, but
Can you admit that you're wrong, justify and change your viewpoint on the evidence given?
and H.R. Ellis Davidson is like, we absolutely can be. So,
And we might be. Who knows?
what'd you think? What's some good topics for you?
Yep. I guess my favorite one was probably the Valhalla concept that she goes into during, I think, Conception of the Soul, and peppered throughout the book after she gets past the
She hits on
archaeology
that
stuff.
a lot.
Yeah. It's kind of like a
Overarching.
thread she carries along through some of the chapters and refers back to it. But on page 65, let me get the old book here. The Conception of the Future Life is chapter 3. The citation is on page 65. Midway through the first page. We have the problems to be considered are first, how far the idea of a warrior's paradise of eternal conflict and feasting is merely an imaginative conception of the poets without any religious significance, and secondly, how far it is possible to equate the conception of Valhalla in the literature with that of the other world beyond the grave.
Literal poetic license.
Yes. I based off what I've read, it looks to me that Snorri and the other Skalds colored the myth of Valhalla with their own poetic license and took whatever evidence, like little bit of evidence that they had, and kind of stretched it out and made with it what they will. If you go to page 68, just down the road a little bit in the book, she says further, Snorri certainly knew how to make the most of what evidence he had at his disposal, but as regards to the subject of Valhalla, we have reason to believe that we are as well informed as he, which to me points that he really only had a small body of evidence and took with it as he will. He took the poetic license and said, well, I'm going to embellish the shit out of this and make something up. So, to wrap it all up, she goes to the point that the evidence presented points towards dying into the mound, mass battle graves where the soldiers couldn't, or the Vikings, whoever the fuck they are, couldn't be taken home, and with a peppering of family tales of dying in the mountains, Snorri and those other Skalds were able to create this Christianized eternal paradise of conflict in the halls of Valhalla.
Lo there do I see my fathers. I couldn't
Lo
resist.
there do I see my... So the last citation I'll give is on page 82, which is, thus the picture of Valhalla given us in the poem seems to have a number of links with the idea of the dwelling within the mound, which is so important in Norse literature. The emphasis on the dead body, which Neckel has brought out in his book on Walhall, the idea of the everlasting battle of those who, being dead, cannot be slain, and lastly, the roof of spears in the dwelling of
Girth.
Girth.
Girth?
Yeah, whatever his name is.
Don't fucking know.
Which is itself closely connected with the tomb and the dead, all point in this direction. So, based off of that, I would say that Snorri took his sweet ass time and embellished as much as he could out of a couple, not even a whole lay, like a portion of a poem, and said, "Hey, this is Valhalla. Happy Kwanzaa."
I definitely think her theories are sound on that. I mean, especially she puts a lot of evidence for it. She really goes in depth quite a bit.
Yes.
And I mean, she kind of doesn't tear it apart, but she invalidates somewhat of the Valhalla myth. A couple later chapters, actually. For instance, like the cult of the dead.
Mm-hmm.
For such a small book, it really has such a wide scope.
Mm-hmm.
Not only does it go into burial customs and concepts of the afterlife, like Valhalla, like it just also it goes into cult worship of the dead, which kind of invalidates Valhalla. I'll get to that in a bit, but it kind of validates that Valhalla just a touch. Depending on how you view her perspective, the inclusion of ancestor cults is verified. On page 101, she goes through cult worship of dead kings, for instance, including possible local cult deities, the slaughtering to the king on the mound, offering to the king, building with it. On the following pages after that, she mentions the theory of not necessarily worship of the dead king, though, but more of the mound itself being the focus of worship after generations. I mean, that makes sense after a couple generations. You know, nobody any longer knew Hagar the whatever. So this is just the mound we slaughter at now.
You just knew the station that was in there.
Exactly. You do have late literature of Valhalla. This is kind of mixed because you do also have people bringing votive goods, votive offerings. For instance, she mentions 2 hands of silver on the way out, 2 hands of dirt on the way in to a mound of ancestor wise. So you do have this idea of gifting into a hoe or onto a barrow, and you offer that way, and you wouldn't offer to something that's not there. If immediately as you die, if you get transported into another place to go and drink and eat, you wouldn't be offering to that spot because it's there's something there. You're asking for something. These ideas definitely put a heavy emphasis on the worship of the dead, which I think is really important if you're looking at afterlife, because that's how a lot of people find religion, because of afterlife. So if the idea of Valhalla, or in a lot of cases, honestly, Brohalla, are easily kind of mitigated with a couple sentences by her, which I think is why this book is so important to read at the beginning. But yeah,
definitely hacks away at some of the preconceived notions that new heathens tend to bring into the fold with them.
And it's been out since the late 60s.
It's only 4 years younger than my dad. 5 years younger than my dad.
I think it's a year older than my mom.
My dad was born in 63, so I'm probably off. But yeah, it's younger than my dad. But it's a great book, and it's got tons of good evidence, and I'm sure there's been more archaeological evidence that's come out.
Oh, drastically, probably.
Even just recent.
But within the scope of this book, I mean, it's aged well. It's well done. You want to go ahead and rate it quick?
Sure. Oh, let's see.
Let's say. Oh, first, did you have any negatives about this book?
Hell no. I got no negatives about it. I mean, if you're just now getting into recon or even just heathenry in general, you will have to take it, and you may have to slow down your reading because you're not used to reading at a collegiate level. A lot of the books we'll present will be at a collegiate level.
I definitely say this is probably one of the easier ones.
It's definitely easier.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the easier ones.
It held my interest. I think it will hold people's interest as well, as long as they're into wanting to know about the afterlife. But
yeah,
I've got no negatives.
No negatives on my end. So let's go ahead and rate this. So first, we're gonna plan on having a couple different kinds of ratings. One being ease of language, ease of reading. Another one will be importance to worldview, and then we will have advanced concepts that require previous knowledge. Some of the books that we will be reading will kind of need to be read after other books, just because sometimes there's information you need.
Yes.
General score is going to be just basically the average score of everything. So
sounds good.
So ease of read language.
Like I was saying, it is written at a higher level, but it is easier to understand than some of the other books I personally read. Riggs, I'm sure, has personally read, and compared to some of the other books we'll probably cover further down the road, definitely easier to read.
Without a doubt.
It's yeah, I can't emphasize that enough. It's a lot easier to read. There might be some instances where you'll be confused with terms or maybe a name or a word, but it's easily sourced.
Yeah. I'd say after the first chapter, it definitely gets a lot easier. The first part goes into a lot of context and info. You really have a lot of explanation. So I definitely say after the first chapter gets easier. What would you say? What number?
I'd probably give it a 7 Valkyries out of 10.
7 hours or 10? All right, I'd probably say it's a 7.9 barrel mounds out of 10. Just because there are so many books that are drastically harder.
Yeah.
This one you can pick up right off the shelf and just put yourself right at it. Yeah. So, Portraits to Worldview?
Very. Personally, since I'm newer to Recon, I think for somebody who's newer into heathenry or newer into Recon, this book is pretty important. It'll help dispel any of the bullshit that you're bringing into it, any of the baggage that we went over. It's definitely going to help you understand the importance of like ancestral worship and those kinds of practices that you can even carry over into your own personal life, your own personal practice. So yeah. I'm going to give this a 9 ferocious draugrs out of 10.
Fucking draugrs. All right. Afterlife. I mean, so Afterlife is a complex subject, and it's hard to really follow and trace sometimes. We get the literature and the physical evidence, but often we have little to no context. Mm-hmm. This book definitely kind of shakes it up a bit. This book acknowledged early on that it will not know everything, and that it will, in fact, present itself as what it is and just the information. It mentions customs and beliefs that are shifted from, Nordic Bronze Age to Migration era. As such, if you're looking for info on Afterlife, this is always a first suggestion I give. However, Afterlife is a very small part of worldview, if I'm being honest, for me. You're building an entire culture, and while knowing what happens after you die is important, it does vary in such within the Germanic tribe. You have some people who built giant mounds. You had some people who cremated. You had some people that buried them on a mountain, or they went to go stay on the mountain. So it does shift. There's no hard concept within the worldview that I can find within the scope of this book that require you to adhere to it. Absolutely. The prevalent idea is definitely probably mound inhibition.
Yes.
So
inhabitation.
Yeah, inhibitation.
Inhibitation.
As such, I would definitely suggest this book. As for its importance to worldview, 5 out of 10 till Valhalla. 5 out of 10 till Valhallas. Till Valhalla.
I would say that would reflect to your level of knowledge as it comes to the heathenry and the worldview as it is, because you are further in your reading and your research than I am. So the importance to you would make more sense as
true
as you've gained knowledge.
True. At the same point, I'm not so far ahead.
You're definitely further than I am. A couple years.
Don't worry, you have almost as many books as me now.
No way.
Well, you buy a lot of fucking books.
I did buy another one recently.
Oh, God damn it.
It was $4.
Read the books before you buy them.
I'm going to. I couldn't pass it up. It was one left. It was only $4. $4. Anyway. So we got advanced concepts.
Yeah, what kind of... So a lot of these books that we're going to be delving into will have more advanced concepts. Mm-hmm. What do you think about this one?
This one, I don't believe, required advanced knowledge of certain concepts. I think she covers enough within the book itself that you can be comfortable with what she's talking about. So as far as needing to understand terminology and stuff, I think she's got a thesaurus in the back, or a glossary in the back, and she's got tons of sources, tons of sources in there that you can go back and read after you're done with it. So
well sourced.
Very well sourced. So I'm going to say there's no advanced knowledge. You can pick it up, you can read through it, and you'll understand what she's talking about.
I gotta agree. Basically, I mean, you have to know very little extra to actually really understand this book. Everything you need to know you can get from general culture. Mm-hmm. There were Germanic tribes. They had tribal customs. They died. That's not all you need to know.
Yeah, they fucking died.
They died. If you don't know that, I'm sorry to break it to you, but people die. But it does, however, turn some concepts on its head. But it doesn't actually require very much in terms of specialized knowledge. Hmm. So, and I think that definitely shows with the ease of language and everything. So,
definitely easier to read, definitely easier to understand. So, I'll go with that.
All right. So then, general score. What would you say this number would be for somebody to read? How important on a scale of whatever, what would you say this book is?
I'm going to give this book a 10 runes in my fetch out of 10. that is going to be my personal score for this book. Any new heathen, any new recon, anybody getting into heathenry, I would recommend this 10 out of 10.
Okay. I give this one Sutton Hoo helmet out of 1. This book is fucking great. Read the fucking book.
Fucking read it.
Read the fucking book. It's super, super easy comparatively. It's very important. I know I just said that wasn't super, super important in worldview. However, one of the most common things that come up are fucking afterlife questions. This book really evaluates them. Read the fucking book.
Where am I going to go when I die? Read the fucking book.
Read this book.
Please read this
Read
book.
20 books, but start with this one.
Yes.
But, yeah. So, I mean, I definitely say read the fucking book.
I agree. Read the fucking book. I'm knife-handing the mic right now.
So that about does it for the actual book review part. Anything else that you want? Any final thoughts? Jerry Springer this shit?
I think it's important to remember that our ancestors weren't stupid. Our ancestors were definitely smart, and this book definitely helps bring it to light. They did things for a reason, and we're trying to pick up the pieces.
Interesting.
As he sips his water.
Very interesting, Chris. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much else to add. It's a really good book, good concepts. I don't really think you have anything else from the podcast. Oh, you know what? Actually, yeah. Fellow online heathen, good guy, Jay Terrell, Terril, recently involved in a car accident. Good guy. He actually gave me a couple of really good books that I couldn't get beforehand on PDF. So I know he has a GoFundMe out there. If you can, go and donate to it. Good guy. He has a good culture, or good tribe behind him. But yeah, go ahead and do that. That's I think all we have for news.
Yeah, we'll have to get the link to that GoFundMe and put it up on our Facebook group.
But yeah, so that does it pretty much for this episode. I know. Next episode we'll be doing Culture of the Teutons.
Yes,
by Wilhelm Grunbeck. I think that's right. Yeah.
Please do not buy it off Amazon.
So we will be reviewing Culture of the Teutons by Wilhelm Grunbeck. Hopefully you get a decent copy. But we do definitely want to say that it's a good book, and
there's a ton, a metric fuck ton of information in that book alone.
A cubic metric fuck ton?
Maybe, if you wanted to get all specific.
A gross cubic metric fuck ton?
Yes.
So, if you want to know why that's important, then listen to the next episode.
Yes. You better. I'm going to fucking knife hand the shit out of you. So, thank you for listening. We do appreciate it.
Very much.
Any suggestions or hate mail? Hate. Next motherfucker that talks when I'm talking is getting shot. Please believe that.
You just promote Dave Chappelle's show?
Yes. You can email us at hbrsucks@gmail.com. We may eventually put out another email for just suggestions, but go ahead and send all of it to that email address.
That is hbrsucks@gmail. Make that very clear.
Yes. hbrsucks@gmail.com. Feed us your hate. We want it. And we will probably read it online. Read it on our next podcast.
Yeah, we'll bathe in it. Rub it all over our bodies.
I will dip my sack in
it. Delicious. Okay.
So,
let's kill this thing. Shoot it.
You've been listening to the Heathen Book Review, the most pathetic book review podcast on the internet.